Hi guys, it's Elena from EMP, and I'm here with Zoltan, the founder of the badass band that is Five Finger Death Punch. So hi, how's it going?
How are you? How are you guys? Hey.
Thank you so much for your time today. So how's it going? How's the tour going so far?
Oh, it's unbelievable actually. All the dates are sold out. This is Wembley Arena, which is always a milestone. This one is sold out as well. So, I don't have really much to complain about these days,
Yeah. So your new album, Fate, is coming out on the 28th of February. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us anything about it?
Yeah, it's like the best album ever came out, ever. This is our number 8 album. That's why we call it 8, and then we just put a little F. So it can be Fate, whatever you want to call it, or just F8. Probably, every band says this, that, oh, this is our best album, but, probably this is our best album because probably the most focused, this band, this is a rock band, we were pretty chaotic and, well recorded, a lot of crazy stuff happened on the road, in the last 12, 13 years. And this time the whole band was super focused and was, we had a goal. We wanted to, make this record into really a milestone. This is our sort of our rebirth. This is our transcendence from whatever we were before. All the guys are sober in the band, so 2 years now, right? Yeah. So this record happened in that period of time when, they all got sober.
And that's why the focus was so like...
Yes, so it's a big difference, that when I'm called to the studio, I'm not called because, like somebody lit it on fire, but it's like, hey, and we have an Ivan Moody. Hello.
Hello. Do you want to jump in and say hi?
What's that?
Do you want to jump in and say hi?
I came in to say hi to my Yeah, all right.
What's up, baby? Sorry, I was
Say
on a
hello to the camera. We are EMP.
What's up, peeps? How you doing? I just came to say hi to my brother here. Hi. Good to see you.
Nice to meet you, Elena.
Ivan. I'll leave you guys alone.
All right, my brother.
Well, that was a
See you in a bit. So, guest appearance by Ivan Moody, the real one. So
one and only.
Yeah, so that's a big difference when I get called to the studio these days. Like, hey, come in, Ivan, lay down an amazing piece. Versus, he lit the studio be on fire. The firefighters are here, and maybe you should come down.
Is that based on a real story?
Kind of, you know what I mean? Like this actually happened to me. That somebody was talking to us about. It's like, hey, remember that festival we played together? I'm like, yeah. There was a time when Ivan took the golf cart and drove it into the lake. And I'm like, you have to be more specific than that because that happened a couple of times. So no,
which time? The first, the fourth?
That's the difference, that this band, as I said, was super chaotic and, in some way, it's a miracle, in some way that, we kept it together regardless, of the shenanigans and we got this far. But this time, this really counted because we're like, okay, right now, everybody's focused, everybody's sober.
Moment,
yes. And you can tell, you hear the record, you can tell that there is something else.
Well, I'm really looking forward to hearing it. So what song from the new record you think you're going to enjoy playing live the most and why?
So we already have Inside Out, the first single that came out. It's already in a set and it's really fun to play. And the interesting thing about this record, first and foremost, we're going to incorporate a bunch of songs. We're really looking forward to this one. And just, generally when a record comes out, people don't really know these songs yet. So we're going to have to wait a little bit so the songs are more familiar and then hopefully put in 4 or 5, And the record is very diverse. There are some very heavy stuff on it, kind of a reach back to our first and second record. And there are some very new things. So it's this aperture sort of opened, and we get away with a lot of stuff. There are some orchestration in there, and as I said, this record is sounds like Five Finger Death Punch, yet very different. So we can pick out a couple of those. There are a couple of acoustic-ish pieces that just kind of a groovy little piece that we are really happy about how it turned out. And there are some some just stompers that are and we'll cherry pick, but we can't wait. Actually, this is an exciting moment because you always play your hits. In this band have at this point 24 top 10 singles or something like that, and if we played every single one of them, we would be still playing of 3 hours later. So you have to pick, right? And so it's going to be a challenge picking what we can play, but
otherwise you would have to
definitely-
play like all night.
Right. I mean, that's
Literally,
what it's
like,
coming to.
yeah.
Like, that's what it's coming to. That
Yeah.
we're gonna look at some of the bands. Like Metallica probably has to play 3 hours at this point. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So we will get there when right now it's a 90-minute set, but I think it's gonna get into a 120 and
Yeah,
plus.
and adding
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and adding. So, funniest on the road story you can tell us?
Ooh, there are so many. So okay, let's pick one from the funniest road story. Okay.
Yeah.
So we used to do this thing where, on the very beginning of the band, the first 2 records, it was pretty brutal, pretty heavy stuff, and so our mosh pits became somewhat legendary, and on the first couple of festivals that we were playing, Mayhem Festival, and so we started to pull the kids out of the mosh pit or the crowd, period, because we were like, oh, this is so crazy that it's maybe dangerous to the younger, kids
Yeah.
and younger people, and so we would ask, women and children, exit the mosh pit, please, and then we would
Yeah.
pull the kids and put them on stage, right, on the side, like let's just watch it from the side. And so that became a thing that we started doing, and then after a while it kind of migrated into the stage, because we also realized that, wow, these kids have a lifetime worth of experience here.
Yeah.
They will remember this forever, So now it became a thing where we would put them on a stage. They would be part of the show, like they could jump around with us for one song.
Yeah.
And then, once that one particular song that was the mosh pit igniter,
Yeah.
they can go back to the crowd. So we would pull the kids and the parents, because you don't want them to be separated.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then song is over, and our security guy, imagine this tattooed from top to toe, 300 pounds muscle, right? Just like, one of those
Yeah.
guys, right? He comes out on stage, and all the kids are gone but one. So it's a little girl, neon green jacket, and and she's just standing there on her own. And so the security guy, almost like with 2 fingers, picks her up, like this, like it was like a comic book or a cartoon, right? This little kid is dangling from the, so he's shaking this little kid and screaming at everybody, whose baby is this? Who left a child on this stage? And so we all coming at like, what's going on? Because imagine this big dude, kid is dangling,
Yeah.
right, and yelling at everybody, who the hell, what kind of moron leaves a little baby on stage? And by this time, we're all on stage, like, what's going on? And this kid, with a deeper voice than mine, goes, put me down, dickhead, I'm a midget. And oh my God, he just dropped this little girl. He screamed like a little girl, like, wow! And she falls, and then she falls over and starts rolling on stage. I mean, this was so ridiculous. I mean, we had 3 more songs
Yeah.
to play. I could not finish this. I mean, we couldn't play. We could not look at each other. We were laughing so hard. So that's one of them. We had some anecdotes, man, some crazy stuff, but things like that.
I
yeah.
wish we had more time to go into
Oh yeah,
but
it's a book. It's a book.
So, can you tell us what's your guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure, yeah. Well, you have to lock away the sweets. You know what I mean? It's so easy. You coming off stage, you spend all this energy, and somebody's like, "Hey, do you want a cinnamon bun?" And you're gonna go, "Oh, like how about 4 of them?" And that start to show up. So so we have to watch what we eat, and it's like I don't have a sweet tooth per se. Like I would never go to the store and buy myself, but when it's there, you just start shoving it in your face, so I have to watch it. That's my,
So, could you recommend any up-and-coming band that people should keep an eye out for?
Absolutely, definitely Fire from the Gods. Fire from the Gods is a very, very special band. They almost brand new. Their latest record just came out, American Sun, and it's a kind of like, imagine. There's a little bit of a reggae-ish thing in there. There's a little bit of an African beats are in there, but it's a rock metal band. It's just a really interesting, eclectic sort of collection of music that just works, And yeah, they're from Texas. It's an amazing band, and this is one that I think if this band breaks through, it will be one of those bands that can change the course of music. Like, there were those key moments when Seattle came, and the Nirvanas and all those men changed the course of music. There are those moments, and this band, I'm not saying that but could. You know what I mean? Because out of a sudden, if this breaks through, then a lot more musically, a lot more will be accepted. You know, like a Rage Against the Machine. They not like Rage Against the Machine, but there are some DNA that they might share. You know, so
similarities. Yeah.
And obviously, I'm going to say Bad Wolves. You know, that's another band that is coming. They are on this tour. You know, they're an amazing band. So you know, those two definitely watch out.
Cool, check them out. So, if you could grab a coffee with a character from a movie, TV series, or book, who would it be and why?
Oh my God, that's that's going to be interesting. A coffee. Well, you know, the person I would be Stephen Hawking. He's already gone, unfortunately. Yeah. But you know, I like to pick the brain of Einstein. He's gone, but I like to pick the brain of you know, scientists that you can, you know, throw around crazy ideas.
Someone smart that you can like
You know, surround yourself with smarter people than you are. You know what I mean? That's the rule in life if you want to get somewhere. You know, if you're the smartest room in the room, then you're not in the right room. You know, you need, you know, so. Growing up, I was gonna be a scientist, and you know, and then I found guitar, and look what happened. Threw it all away. So now I have to.
Luckily for us. So
now I have to do this. Wow. I mean, you know, right? But you know, so this definitely would be scientists, and you know, and people like, you know.
That's interesting. Mm-hmm. So, if you lived in the Star Wars universe, would you rather be a Jedi or a Sith?
Well, man. I mean, the Sith looks pretty cool. I don't know. I would be Boba Fett, I think. No, I would be Boba. I would be the assassin. You know, kind of have no master. You know, I think I would be Boba Fett, man. I would be like, who pays me? Oh, yeah, that guy. Yeah, he's gone.
So, would you rather survive a zombie apocalypse or an alien invasion?
Well, I think an alien invasion would be way more interesting. You know what I mean? A zombie apocalypse, highly unlikely. Well, I don't know. There are. I don't know. There's a virus around. I mean, just go into, like, you know, a store at Black Friday. Yeah. There is a zombie apocalypse right there. Yeah. You know, barely survivable. But yeah, I think an alien invasion would be more interesting. You know, more challenging probably. You know.
Okay. So scrolling through your Instagram feeds, we've seen that you're all about guitars, of course, cool cars, judo, jiu-jitsu, sorry. But what else do you like doing during your free time?
Well, if you went through my Instagram, then, well,
we stalked, we went back.
All the martial arts, obviously, I do some dabble, you know, do some kung fu, some jiu-jitsu, some, you know, judo, I do it since I was a little kid. I compete still in these martial arts. I like flying. You know, I fly low planes. You know, I go to the shooting range all the time. You know, there's a million things. I'm running different companies. My life is pretty much 24/7. I mean, it's
not much free time.
Well, but here's the thing. It's not really. I don't see it as work. Because it's self-inflicted, you know, all these things. I mean, I manage a bunch of bands, so there are a million things that I'm doing, and I just, you know, I just grew up that way. I came from an unfortunate place on some way, like, you know, it was a system where socialist, communist, you know, you had to work harder than anyone else to get here. So that kind of formed, you know, these habits that I can't get away from that. So I just schedule myself up to, you know. Yeah. So yeah, but you know, flying is fun. I do that, and a lot actually. But I can't even tell you. There are just a list. You know, I'll tell you, I have a bucket list, right? So there are some things on the bucket list I haven't done yet. There's a halo jump. That's a high altitude, low open jump, 30,000 feet. You're so in a full mask and, you know, oxygen and whatnot. You jump out of an airplane and then you're free falling for a long time. Yeah. You can think about life and why am I even doing this? Why did I just jump out of that, right? And then you open your parachute on a low altitude. So I still want to do that. That's still on the bucket list.
That's cool.
Amongst other, you know, wrestling a shark and an alligator and whatever. Yeah.
What's next for Five Finger Death Punch?
Ah, yes, 2 years of solid touring, as I know that. You know. I mean, look, this record is coming out, you know, next month, and so on the 28th, and we're gonna have to tour on this record for a long time to come. So I think for the next 2 years, it's gonna be just solid touring. We basically, this is the beginning of our world tour. So we started here. Then after this, probably go take off, a month. Then we have a big US tour. And after the US tour, probably Canada, I would say, maybe South America. So we start to do our, basically.
Yeah. So thank you so much for
Absolutely.
your time, honestly. Thank you so much. And guys, make sure you pre-order the album, F8 Fate.
F8 Fate, you can call it whatever you want it. Right.
Out on the 28th of February.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you.